Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope you had a nice celebration and you have many wishes for this year. And I really hope all of them come true. And let's hope that this year will actually be much better for all of us. There was one test, the one we did for the Elder rating, but there was one left for the Endgame knowledge. If some of you remember, if some of you were here during this previous test, there is one more. So if you want to know something new, to get some new knowledge about the Endgame, I don't know what this test will be about, but I hope it's not so long. I remember that the number of the questions was lower, not like 76, but a little bit lower, so I hope it's easier. The L test went well for me. Let's hope the end game is at least as good as the previous test. We ask you to judge whether white can force a win in the following 48. Okay, 48, it's not 76. Endgame positions. Afterwards, you will be given an individual feedback regarding your performance. You will need approximately 30 minutes to complete the test. Well, 30 minutes is okay. Let's go. Wish me good luck and let's go. I now show you 40 different chess positions, one at a time. Okay, good that one at a time, not like 48. Your task will be twofold. What do you mean? First, you're asked to decide whether white to move can force a win or not. Okay. Second, we want you to provide a confidence rating for each of your decisions. What do you mean? But we will see. Linda wishes me good luck, but I won't need it. Luck is always needed. And even if you don't need it, you still need it. Let's go. So, let's continue. Can you see it well? Yes, you can see it. So, can white to move? Yeah, of course it's white to move because the king is under the check. Force a win in the above position. I am almost sure that not, because the king has to move, and when the king moves, black rook comes to e5, and then black can just wait with rook g5, rook e5, or staying with the king, and it's like the fortress. White can't break it. So no, white cannot win this by force, and I don't think they can win it at all. How sure are you about your decision? If you are completely, well, let's say I am completely sure white can't win it. You can still blunder something, especially when you are playing a blitz game, but it's very difficult to pre-move rook e5, rook g5. So for this, I am more or less sure. Let's go. Next one. Can white to move force a win in the above position? Of course, white can win. And actually, it doesn't matter if it's white to move or black to move. The position is lost for black. So yes. Let's go. Can white to move force a win in the above position? Oh, this one is a bit trickier. Just a second. This one is a bit tricky. The reason is that it's the rook pawn, and when the rook pawn against the queen, it's very often a draw when the king is too far away. But in this particular position, there is the idea that white puts the king on g6. And with this move, white gives the opportunity for black king to move out of it. So the king is not stalemated. I actually think this position is winning for white. And then white goes like king g6, king h5, and some idea was king g3 when black promote, then king g3, king g4, then king g3. I think it's winning. If the king was on h8, it would have been a draw, but this position should be winning. I can calculate, I can spend like a few more minutes to calculate it exactly. Okay, let's do it exactly. Let's do it exactly. We are not limited on time, so we can do it exactly. So king g6, the king moves to g2 or g1. Then, for example, king h5 or king f5. It's more or less the same. So the king goes to f1, then we give 1 million checks and on a1, b2, and then we go king g3, and when black promotes, then king g3, and it's definitely winning. So it was winning. Can white move first a win in the above position? Well, when the queen is again the central pawn, the only positions when it's not winning is when the king is so unfortunately placed that the queen cannot give the check. When the queen can give the check, then it's always winning. So this is definitely winning. Let's go. Can white to move force a win in the above position? We have learned this during our webinars. And it's a draw. It doesn't matter if it's white to move or black to move. No, white has no chances to win this position. I'm completely sure about it. No way. No way, once again, if it's white to move, if it's black to move, it doesn't matter because the knight will always be around this pawn. So the knight can move to d8, then to e6 or f7, and the king will never force it to go somewhere so that the knight won't control the pawn. It's definitely a draw. Next one. Can white to move force a win in the above position? Oh, this one is tricky. This one is tricky. Because some of these positions are winning and some of these positions are actually a draw. Maybe this one is a draw. The point is that the pawn is already on f6, not on f5. If it was on f5, it would have been an easy win. But with the pawn on f6, white can't move the king so that it helps the pawn to move, to push to f7. For example, if the king comes to g6, black has a check on d3, and the king can't come to e6. So I think it's a draw, but it's not so easy. For example, after king e5, what to do? What to do? Maybe it's winning, maybe it's not winning. One second. If white goes king f5, it's easy because there is a check. And if white goes to e6, then bishop comes back to c4. But the problem is king to e5, and then black has to make the move. For black, it would be perfect not to make any move and just to wait. The problem is that if we move the bishop to a2, then white goes king f5, and then we go back bishop to c4. So when the king comes to g6, then bishop d3. I somehow feel it's theoretically a draw. Let's say no, but I am not 100% sure. I'm like 90% sure. It will be actually funny if it's a win for white. But I think it's a draw. Let's go. This one. Can white force a win in the above position? Yes, white can force a win because white is lucky in this position. White can play rook h8, and it's either white promotes the pawn, or if black takes on a7, then there is rook h7. If it was black to move right in this position, it would have been a draw because black goes king g7. And black just stays with the king on h7, g7. And when white brings the king to b1 and then to b6, then we give the check from the back. So in this position, yes, white can force a win. And it's definitely, I am sure about it. The next one. Can white force a win in the bow position? Well, this endgame is a bit strange, because it's theoretically a draw, though in the game you can still try with some tricks, but theoretically it's a draw. So let's go. Next one. Ooh, can white force a win in the bow position, the new one? Without calculating, I would say it should be winning for white, because black has a weakness on a4, black has a potential weakness on f7. The pawn endgame is also like very likely to be lost, because the king comes closer and eats all the pawns. Also, white has a lot of tempes, as black's structure is fixed, but white has some tempes with h3, h4, h3, g4, and so on. But this is not like theoretical endgame compared to the previous positions. It's like the position from some game. It could easily come from some game. So it's a very practical one, and I think it must be winning, because if this is not winning, then it's something very strange. And the plan for winning is actually I am not so sure how exactly we do. I would say we bring the king to b4. So we play king c4 and king to b4. If after king c4 black plays king a5, then of course we go king c5 and penetrate with the king and eat all these pawns. So we move the king to b4. Black will not be able to move this king after that, as the king will move to c5. So black has to stay with the bishop on these squares, e8, d7. And then how we win after that? Then we have to create the weakness somewhere here. So maybe to move the bishop all the way to c4, then to move like h3, g4, and then slowly push f5. Because we have 100 of moves and we can easily put black into zugzwang. I mean, it should be winning. If this is not winning, then I don't know what winning is. So let's say white can force a win. Well, I'm almost 100% sure it's winning. Okay, let's put 90. I mean, maybe there is some miracle chance. Let's put 95. Let's be like this. Next one. Can white force a win in this position? In this position, it's very important that it's white to move, and we have a nice move, g5. And after g5, this one pawn is blocking all these three pawns. So it's very important. And then we can create a passed pawn on this side, and then run with the king to eat all these pawns. So just to imagine some line like g5. Oh, black has two options after g5. Black can wait with the king, or black can try to push f5, and f5 is actually losing immediately, because after f5 I take this one. Then with the king I can stop these pawns, and then black will not be able to catch both of these pawns, like the f pawn and the pass pawn, which will be created on this side. So after g5, if black stays, let's say king b6, if we try to do it with the easy way, something like king b6, a4, king c6, b5, take, king b6, king b4, king b7, king c5, king c7, king d5, king b6, king d5, king b5, here, there, and we win. Yeah, white should win it. White should win it. You are still following, yes? Yes. So I think white is winning this one. This one is interesting. Can white win it? Theoretically, it's a draw. Theoretically, it's a draw, and it's not such a difficult draw to make because the bishops, they are controlling too many squares. The problem is that the king can't come closer. Black is just keeping these bishops and then staying with the king somewhere next to them. In my practice, I have never faced this type of endgame because it's so unusual. But it's a draw. So it's theoretical draw. Let's go. Can white force a win in this position? No way. Thanks. Black is able to save it thanks to the fact that we have an opposite colored bishop's endgame. And the problem is that when white starts to move the pawn, then black is always ready to sacrifice this bishop for these 2 pawns. So, for example, white plays something like f4, then e4, trying to push e5, but after f4, e4, black puts the bishop on c7, and you will never be able to play e5. You can, but after e5, black just takes on e5, and you also can't move the king like to d5 to push e5 because then the pawn on f4 will be hanging. So it's a draw. Let's go. This test is actually going much quicker than the previous one because there are so many theoretical positions, so it's kind of easier if you have some endgame knowledge. This one is definitely a draw because this one is white has no single plan to win this position because the pawns are blocked. It's again an opposite color bishop's endgame, but this is even a better version as the pawns are blocked. b3 pawn is hanging, so after b4, black simply goes something like bishop c4 and just stays with the bishop forever. It's a draw. Let's go. Can white win in this position? And this is a very similar one to the one we had. But now white doesn't have an idea with this trick when the king can come closer to this pawn. So this is definitely a draw. White is winning if the king is like on e5. Or d4, but king has to be on e5, d4, or even a little bit closer to this area, so that to have the idea we had, which was explained in the previous puzzle. Because I think even with the king on d5, it's already a draw. It's a bit too far, so the king has to be somewhere here, as far as I remember, more or less. So here are no ideas to win. This is definitely a draw. And this is definitely a win. Just because it's a win. We have actually covered this topic also in the seminar. So it's winning. This endgame is definitely winning for white. It's this pawn structure, when black has 4 pawns, but these double pawns can arise from the exchange variation in the Royal Opus, or from Berlin if black plays it in the wrong way and exchange and all the pieces. And this endgame is winning. The point is that white has 4 pawns against 3 and black has 4 pawns here against 3. But these pawns are doubled and black can't create a post pawn here. While white will be able to create a post pawn here and then come with the king to this side and eat all these pawns. So it's definitely a winning endgame for white. Let's go. Can white win this position? And comparing to the previous one when the king was on f7 and there was the trick with king h8. Here we don't have this trick, so this is a draw. Next. Can white win in this position? No way. No way, because king d6, king d8, e7, king e8, king e6. It's stalemate. Let's go. Can white win in this position? I think we already had this position. And, I mean in the previous puzzle. Is my memory good? I think I should trust my memory. It's winning because there is the idea of playing rook b2, threatening rook b8. And if after rook b2 black takes on c7, then we still give the check, and after king f7 we play rook b7. We force the trade and then we promote to a queen. So yes. Yes, that's the way we do it. Can a white win in this position? Yes. So yes, of course. Yes, of course. Yes, of course. We will just put the pawn. After d5, black can have only two options to save it. One is when there are checks from there, but these checks work only when the pawn doesn't cross the fourth rank. After the pawn comes to d5, this method doesn't work, or when the king comes in front. But the king is too far. I think also rook f1 is winning. Maybe rook f1 is actually winning easier. Rook f1 or maybe just everything is winning. Let's go.
Hi Anna, hi chat.
Hello Vesuvius. How are you? We are doing. We are trying to pass the test for endgame skills. Can white win this position? I am pretty sure white can. It's important in the pawn endgames to have a pass pawn which is further from the center, because then yeah, you start pushing it. The king will have to catch it, and then we come with our king to the center and eat all these pawns. So this must be winning. What is next? Another theoretical position, rook and bishop versus the rook. And theoretically it's a draw. This one is a draw. There are some positions, of course, when it's winning, but this one with the bishop on e4, it's winning when the bishop is on e5 and the king is on e6 sometimes. Not all the time in these positions, but with the bishop on e4 and with the king on e5, it's just a Ventura position, which is considered to be a draw. Nice. This one is like a big question about if white can break through. Can white break through? Can white break through? The only idea which may work is to push f5 and then promote one of the pawns. If we start with h5, it doesn't work because h5 black takes. Then if we play f5, black stops everything with playing g6. So this is not the right way to do it. But the right way to do it is to start with f5. So if black takes with this pawn, with the e pawn, then we play h5. We are threatening h6. And if black takes g takes h5, then we play g6 and then we win. Good line. If we play f5 and black takes with this pawn, then we simply play h5, h6 and we win again. So if we play f5, if black does not react and black, let's say, play king to d4, then we have to think. I think it should be winning. somehow, maybe just with king f4, maybe with something else. I believe it should be winning with a breakthrough. Let's go, just to calculate. I see that in the chat, some people agree that it should be winning. F5, king d4, there are two moves we should consider, maybe even three. They are h5, king f4, and f6. No, king f4. King f4 is just the easiest one. Because if we start with h5, then black takes king e5. And then we go f6, g takes f6 and h6, and we win. Yeah, we can still play h5. So it's winning. Yeah, yes, white can win. Confirmed. Can white win in the above position? I believe that yes. Because there is a little trick. The point is that if we allow this king reach the g8 square or h8, of course it's a draw because it's the wrong bishop. But there is the trick with the move of bishop h7, and we keep this king on the f file. So if king f6 threatening king g5, then luckily we have king f4 or king g4, and we don't allow king g5. And then we simply move the king closer, and then we ask the king to move to e8 or e7, and then we promote the pawn. So thanks to the move of bishop h7, we are winning. Here we are. Can white win in this position? I believe that yes. Because we can play c5. If b takes c5, king c4, then we win this pawn, and then we come closer to these pawns. Once again, the point is that this pawn on h5 is blocking these two pawns, so basically we are kind of a pawn up in the pawn endgame, and it's nice to be a pawn up in the pawn endgame. Furby, you didn't understand the previous one? Yes, it was the bad bishop, but there was one important move of bishop h7 in the starting position. That's why it was winning. I think so. You can rewatch this video later on, or maybe we'll have a chance to see this position once again. I don't know, later on. So I think this one is winning. This one should be a draw. This one should be a draw because the king is close enough. So if we start with king g7, king e6, king h7, king f7, and it's a draw. If we start with h6, it doesn't matter. King d6, king g7, king e7, king takes, king f7, or king f8, it's a draw. No. Sorry, but no. This one can white. We have to calculate because sometimes the king can. Well, our task is to win this pawn and then to promote that pawn. But sometimes the king is enough to take our pawn and to run back to c8. Then it's a draw. But we may calculate it. It's pretty easy. So king f6, king f4, king f6, king e4, king g5, king d5, king g4, king c5, king g3, king b5, king f4, king a5, king e5. Now the king is too far away. I think we are winning like with three times at least. Yeah, it's winning for white. The most important is not to move this pawn, not to start moving this pawn, because then the king the king is closer. I mean, coming from g3 is a bit longer than running from like g7. So it's important to keep this pawn. Better even if it's on g2. Better even if it's the h pawn. Because then black needs more time to take it and to run back. But for example, if the pawn was on f file, it's better for black because it's closer. Maybe it's still winning for white. I believe it's still winning for white. But let's say with the pawn on f4, I'm not so sure. With the pawn on f5, I would say it's a draw. I think so. Well, but we are asked about this position, so yes. So yes, white can force a win here. Next one, yes, of course, white can force a win by playing king g3. And this is the position I wanted to reach when I was explaining you the idea of the very first puzzle, when there was like the king was coming, king g6, and then this Christmas tree, you know, you just go back, baby. Yeah, king g3 and black has no more. Next one. Okay. Theoretically speaking, it's a draw, but there have been so many games, even on the top level, when black couldn't hold it. So theoretically speaking, it's a draw, but it's not like a very easy draw. Let's say it this way. Oh, no. Oh, can white force a win? Oh, God. It's 2 knights. With 2 knights, it's almost always a draw, but there are these pawn. There is this pawn barrier. Oh my God, just let me. There is some line. It's like if the pawn is blocked on h4, g6, f5, e4, d4, c5, b6, a4. So I think if the pawn is blocked on these squares, then it's winning for white. Then it's winning. Here the pawn is on h3, and it's kind of should be a draw, but the king is quite stuck in the corner. So maybe there are some mating ideas we have to calculate. We have to calculate it. Okay, it's pretty easy to calculate because it's just knight g4, h2, knight gf6, king has to go there, and then knight e5 and knight f7 is the checkmate. So it looks like white is winning. Yeah, white is definitely winning. But normally, when you have the pawn on h3 and when the king is not like in the very, very corner, let's say we move the king to f8, white's king to f6, and the knight to c7, it's a draw. It's a draw because there are no mating ideas. But if we move all these pieces like king to f6, king to f8, and knight to c7, and this pawn to h4 and this knight to h3, I think it's winning. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how, because it's very complicated to win. But somehow theoretically it's like that. Here we have an easy win because we are checkmating. So let's go. Can white win this position? Looks like yes. To be honest, it looks like yes, because the bishop is very passive and the knight is too strong, too good. So if I play this position with white, I would think about pushing g5, creating one more weakness on g6. If black takes, we take, and then we move the king to f4, e5, f6, so then it would be easier. But after g5, black can play f5, And then we would need to remaneuver our pieces like king f2, king e3, knight f3, king d4, knight to e5, or maybe even to wait with knight e5. Maybe even to try to move the king like to a5. Another idea is to play king h4 and play f5 and then try to move with the king to h5, but there is bishop e8 which can stop everything. Okay, g5 is just like strategically looking very good. It should be winning for white. It should be winning for white. Just it requires a bit of time. So I believe g5, f5, then coming with the king. Okay, black puts the bishop on e8 and is waiting with the king on e6, but then it will be the zugzwang. Then it will be kind of a zugzwang. King e7, king e6 if we bring the knight to e5, and then we start slowly moving to a5 or something of this kind. Now it should be winning. It should be winning for white. Let's say it's 9. I am 95% sure it's winning for white. Maybe by miracle black can save it, but it's just looking horrible. This one is definitely winning for white because now we have the right bishop and the right corner, so of course it's winning. Can white win in this position? Or can black save it? Can black save it after e6? Sometimes there are some ideas that black can keep on checking, but this idea is when the king is on f3 and black is threatening some kind of checkmate. Right in this position, the king is too far from f3. So I think like after e6, I don't see many ideas for black. I don't see the way black can save it. It's like one of the pawns will promote. I'm pretty much sure it's winning for white. Next one. Can white win this one? No, white cannot win this one. White can win the e5 pawn, but white cannot win the game because after king d6, king f7, king e5, king e7, it's a draw. Next. Can white win this one? Now it's theoretical draw. The bishop is just staying. If we play rook a8, the bishop comes to g8, and king g6 is a stalemate. So this is a draw. Next one. Oh, when there was the position with the bishops, I was actually afraid we would have this one with the knight. I was very much afraid we would have it with the knight, and the reason is that with two knights, theoretically it's also a draw. Theoretically, it's also a draw, but not all the positions. Only when the knights are placed this way, I think so. I never had this endgame in my life. Never. With the bishops, I didn't have either. But with the knights, it's even more difficult to reach it. But with the knights, it's more complicated to defend. Somehow, if the knights were placed on f6 and e4, not on e6, but on e4, it would be winning for white. Yeah, it would be winning for white. Black needs to keep the knights this way, because this way the knights control too many squares and the king can't come closer. Though it's not so easy to defend, because, for example, white plays queen to d6, and we have to do something. We can't move with the king, we can't wait with the king. We have to move one of the knights, then the king comes closer. It may actually be quite difficult to defend this position. So, for example, after queen d6, I have no idea what to play. I literally have no idea what to play. I just know that it's a draw. But let's say if I had 5 minutes in the game and I had to defend it, I'll have to check this position once again, how exactly the draw is made. Because it's not looking easy. Let me think. I'm trying to figure it out myself. But somehow it doesn't work. So, for example, queen d6, if we play knight g7, the king comes to f4. If we go back to e6, the king comes to f5 or e5. How to do that? 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 Maybe something like even knight g7 and knight h7 to stay this way, and then we'll have more moves with the king. And to defend so passively. It's very dangerous to do it this way, but maybe it works, like knight g7, knight h7, and then stay with the king. Like on g8 or something like that. Okay, look, viewers, viewers, I am pretty much sure it's a draw, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. I'll just say it's a draw, but I don't know how to do it. I'll check this position after that. We may actually put it, even after doing this puzzle, we may actually put it for an Limov stable base and check it. So let's do it. It's a good idea. Next one. Can white win here? Looks like yes. Looks like yes. We just play f5. If black doesn't react, then we take the pawn and we play rook h8 and win with this idea of rook h7. If black takes the pawn, then we play g6. We are threatening g7. If black takes, we play rook h8 and win. If black plays king f6, we take the pawn on f7 and we play rook h8 and we win. So yes, it's winning. And this one I know how to win. Can white win this one? No. Next. Can white win this one? Oh. You remember I was speaking about this endgame, and with the pawn on e4 it's winning. Yeah, once again, when the pawns are blocked on h4, g6, f5, e4, d4, c5, b6, and a4, it's winning. It's winning. It's winning, but it's a very complicated win. And if you get this position in your own game, you will most probably need more than 50 moves to win this position. So it's actually very difficult to do it. But it's winning, according to table ways. Next one. Can white win this one? Yes. I think it's the end game. It's very similar to the one of Capablanca, where he showed the idea of moving the king like king f3, king g4, king h5, but he did it with the black pieces. So, so it's an endgame with an equal material. But the problem is that these pawns are doubled and this pawn is kind of weak. So white brings the king toward this pawn. And then white is winning. Something like king f3, king d7, king g4, king e7, king h5, king f8, king h6, king g8. And then white slowly starts pushing these pawns, maybe b4. And we reserve this tempo with a3. And then we start pushing on this side and we push like g4, h4, g5, then we break with the f4, e4, the g6, then we trade everything here but the king on g6, and then the king is slowly coming to this side and it's winning. I think it's winning. Let's go. And this one is a draw because it's the wrong corner and the wrong color of the bishop, and we don't have any idea to ask this queen to leave this corner, so it's a draw. No, white can't win it. Can white win this one? No, the king is too far away. The king is too far. If the king was closer, like on e5, then we could have this idea with king f4 and king g3. But when the king is on e7, it's too far. It's too far and it's the bishop pawn, so it's a draw. Next one, can white win this one? White to move. a6, h3, a7, h2, a8, king g1. And it's a draw, because once again the king is too far. The rook pawns and the bishop pawns are the most drawish ones. If the king is too far, then you can't win. Next one. This is definitely a draw, because the only possible way for white to win with rook and knight versus the rook is when the king is already in some mating net on the last rank. Otherwise, when the king is like on the 7th rank or even closer to the center, then it's a pretty easy draw. Needs chess! Thank you so much for the beats. This one is a draw. It's quite easy to defend it with black. Even if you have no idea what to do, you are just trying to give the checks, and that's it. With the bishop, it's much more complicated. With the bishop, you need to know what you are doing, because the bishop is much more difficult. Next one, can white win? Yes, of course, white is winning. We are winning this e6 pawn, and even if black takes the opposition, it doesn't matter, it's still winning for white. Next. Can white win this one? No. No. White can only win if the king is cut on the back rank. Like if the king was on g8, white's rook was on a7 and black rook was somewhere. Then it could be winning. But when the king is not cut on the back rank, then it's a draw. You need to know how to do it, but it's a draw. I am so confident, then it would be actually funny if in the end it's like, no, Anna, of course you are wrong. But let's hope I am right. Let's hope I am right. Next one. Oh, this one. Oh, this one depends. This one depends if you can create a pass pawn here somehow. It's like a big question. I need some time to figure it out if it's winning or not. If you play in some primitive way, like h3, g4, black would just trade and it's a draw. So somehow we have to play f5, black takes, and then we win this pawn. But it's not so easy, because if we attack this pawn, then black will defend with bishop e2. If we start with king g5, then again black will play bishop to e2. Another problem is that if we play king g5 and f5, so if we make like 2 moves in a row, then black can still play bishop to d3. So some idea like to start with h4 and then to play g4, and then if black takes, we play f5, and then to push h5. But even if you have 2 moves like h4, g4, black takes, and after f5 black doesn't take, but black plays bishop to d3. Well, that's already a bit scary. But maybe it's still a draw. But okay, it's 2 moves after h4. After h4, black can play something like bishop e6. And black will never be in a zugzwang, because we also can move this with this king. Like king c6, king b7, or king a6, or king c8, or wherever. Just somewhere near this pawn. So to be honest, I don't see the way white can win this position. One last second. Okay, it should be a draw. Let's say I am 95% sure about it. No, I don't see a way white can win. I don't see a way white can win, but maybe some miracle. Oh! That was the end? That was the end. So here we go. And we have to answer the same questions, yes? Let's do it the way I did it the previous time. So I did say that I don't have a national rating, because it's not like I don't have a national rating, but national rating is only calculated when you play national tournaments, and I don't play so many national tournaments. And also national rating can be very different from FIDE rating. So in some countries it can be much higher, in some countries it can be much lower. So it's not like showing the real strength. So I will just put my FIDE rating, and yeah, because online rating is also very different and varies a lot, so I'll just say no. Next one, your FIDE rating. Here we are. Next one. Oh, how many pages of questions do we have? How many pages we have? Oh, I missed some subs. Sorry. Thank you so much, Sven Merwank and Alchemic. Maybe I missed some others. Sorry, I didn't hear. Sven Merwank, thank you so much. Thank you. And Alchemic also, thank you so much. I hope you don't have 100 questions. I hope you don't have 100 questions here like the previous time. What's your age? No. I am female. I am Ukrainian. Here we are. Did you fully understand the instruction? I think I did. I think I did. Maybe I missed something, but it's not like there was something unclear. So, next one. Did you analyze? Not yet, but we will analyze the position with the knights. Did you look up? No, I tried to looked up the positions in my head database. Taken very seriously. I have taken part very seriously. And here we go. We have the list of all these positions once again. What it is? Oh, what is this? 48 of 48! Big applauses. That was perfect. This was a very good test. But still, this position with the queen versus the knights, I don't know how to do it. But we will know how to do it. We will know how to do it. We will know how to do it very soon. Very, very, very soon. Thank you! Just curious. Positions were not difficult. Penguin, you knew all the positions? You really knew all the positions? I am proud of you. Some of them were actually quite easy. But some of them were not so easy. All guns blazing. Richard, what do you mean by saying that I should join the puzzle battles? All streamers are on it? I don't know. I don't know which puzzle battles. Which puzzle battles do you mean? I don't know anything about it. Do you have Just Come in event? Do you have any link to it? There is it's like I don't know. There are even some prizes. When does it start? Or it already started? I'll check the link. It started yesterday, so it has already started. Okay, let's quickly check all the puzzles because Furiba, you're here, so you had a question about this one of the positions, so let's quickly go through the puzzles. Here it's winning. Okay, it's clear. This one pawn endgame clear. Yeah, because of f5 it's winning. This one is also clear. Yeah, g5. This one is clear. This one is clear. This one, yeah, the king is running. You see, king f4, king g5. Yeah, and then before. Oh, I was even right about before. And then g4, h4, f4. You see, I even said exactly the same moves. Yeah, g5, and then you move g6, and then you actually move with the king, and then you win. So this one is clear. c5 and king c4 on black is in Zugzwang. This we understand. Yeah, this one you just have to know that it's winning. But you better also know how to win it after you get this position. Well, this one you can actually win very quickly. King g5. It's the best for the knights to play again the central pawns because then one of your knight is not like stuck to. For example, if the knight was on a3 and the pawn on a4, it's also winning, but you need much more time to bring the knight closer to the king when you put the king in the mating net and then you bring the other knight and you let the pawn moving. So it's actually much better when it's the central pawn. If you're playing with the knights, if you're playing with the pawn, then better to have the pawn somewhere on the a or h file. But this one is actually winning quite quickly, yeah, because the king is already kind of in the mat, in the net, in the mat. So king g5, yeah, king g5, and then you somehow make this net. But it's not so easy. I mean, all these knight maneuvers. Okay, they asked if it was winning. It is winning. Here it's easily winning because white is checkmating. This one is winning how? G5, yes, as expected, f takes. No, if f takes, then of course we run with the king. But after f5, king f3, king d8, king e3. And then? Thank you. This I knew even myself. I was like calculating the line g5, f5, king f3. Let's say, okay, let's say king d8, king e3, king e7, and then how we do it. For example, we play knight f3, bishop e8, and then maybe we just run with the king to a5. Okay, it's winning. I'm glad it's winning. This one is clear that it's winning, and this one, Furibai, are you here? You are here. So it's winning just because we have this bishop h7 move. Because if you play king f4 or king g4, black goes king g8, and it's already a draw. Because as you said, it's the wrong bishop or the wrong pawn. But since we have bishop h7, black has to do something. For example, if black plays king f6, we don't allow king g5, we play king f4 or king g4. Black has to play king f7, we play king f5. Black goes king f8, we play king f6, and then the king has to move to e8. And then we play king g7, we move the bishop, and then we play h7, h8. That's why it's winning. Clear? For everybody? Good. Oh, good. This one is winning, yeah, king c4, king b4. And then not my plan with bringing the bishop to c5 and but bishop f3, h4 and g4. Okay, they have another idea. But a very similar one. Maybe actually my idea is working too. They play bishop f3. So first step, we bring the king to b4. Okay? Then we play bishop f3. Then we play h4. Then we play g4 and trade these pawns. H takes, bishop takes. Then we play h5. Pawn takes, bishop takes. And after bishop e8, we play f5. And if black takes, we play e6. And black can't take because we take the bishop. I had another idea. I had an idea of bringing the king to b4, then bringing the bishop to c4, then playing h3, g4, trade these pawns, and then when the bishop is on d7, and we can easily make it because black has only 2 moves. Oh no, black has 3 moves. Then black has actually also the move with bishop c6. Then black has also bishop c6. But okay, it doesn't matter. The most important is that the bishop is not on e8. So if bishop is on d7 or c6, then we push f5. And if black takes, we take on f7 and we try to promote the e-pawn. If black doesn't take, but black plays bishop d7, then we push f6. And then we try to attack the pawn, the f7 pawn. Well, this line, which is explained here, is more clear, but maybe there is more than one way to win. Anyway, I believed it was winning, and it's winning, so it's good. This one is 6, it's clear. This one is winning. Oh, even king c6 is winning. So king c6, rook f1 is winning. d5 is most probably winning. It's just 2 winning. Well, here rook h8 is winning. This is winning. This is f5 is winning. Rook b2, rook b8, rook b7, it's winning. This is winning. King g3, it's winning. And this one, yeah, another important endgame. It's winning just because the king is coming, because we have this idea of king g6, king g2, king f5, king f1, then we give the checks, and then king g4, king g3. So it's clear. This one is 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 easy. This one is a draw. This one is an easy draw. Here I was a little bit unsure if there is any breakthrough, but apparently there is no. This one is a draw, this one is a draw, this one is a draw, this one is a draw. It's not very, very easy, but it's a draw. The defensive idea is that we, when these pawns are starting to move, we start giving the checks or attacking one of the pawns. And the king somehow cannot escape from the checks and protect all these pawns. This one is a draw, but not an easy draw. This one is relatively an easy draw. This is an easy draw. This one with the bishop, you have to know how you are making the draw. This one is an easy draw. This one was not so clear for me. So it's theoretically a draw, but I was not sure about it. I was not sure about it because, for example, if there was the way for king to come to g6, then it would be winning for white, because then we push f7. But we can't come to g6 or e6. This one is a draw. This one is a draw. Oh, with the knights. So we know it's a draw, but we don't know how to make it. With the bishops, it's easier. Because the bishops control too many squares. For example, if we try to bring the king to g4 and the queen to e6, then black can just play bishop f7 and then bishop back to g6, or if white pins the bishops with queen d7, then we just play king g6 and then keep on staying with the bishop. With the bishops, it's more or less easy. But with the knights, it's not so easy. This one is an easy draw, and that's it. Perfect test. Mr. Onyama, Alex, hello. Do I ever get anything wrong? Sometimes I do. But this one was 100% test. Thanks for your support. So we have two options what to do now. To check how to defend with two knights versus the queen, or to check this puzzle battle competition, what it is about. So how was it? Actually, it doesn't matter so much how it was. I don't remember if the king was here or there, but it's more or less the same. Here, and there is the queen here, and it's white to move. So I didn't know what to do if the queen comes to d6, because then black cannot just keep the knights and black cannot move the king. That's why I was a bit... where is this queen? Queen to d6. It's still a draw. Oh, you see? It's not so easy, because only two moves lead to a draw. All the other moves are losing. I warned you. I warned you. We need to keep this knight somehow. It's a pity. It's a pity that we see which move leads to a draw and which moves leads to winning or losing, but this limb of endgame table base, it doesn't explain you why. So let's try to understand. Oh, knight g8 and knight f8. I was thinking about knight g7 and knight h7, as you may remember, but it's not the right way to do. But the right way to do is to bring the knight to f8 and g8. Okay, let's try. I play knight f8. Let's say the king moves to f4. Now king, See, it's very complicated. You need to bring the knights to the back rank. Oh gosh. And then how to hold it? Okay, let's say we play knight somewhere, knight e8. Now, yeah, of course, if we move the king, black takes the queen. So let's say we move the queen to c6. And now knight g7, knight to g8, or king to e7. Well, let's say we have the plan. We keep this knight, so then all these squares are controlled. So maybe we keep the king here, but what do we do after white gives the check? White brings the king to e5 or f5 and give the check. So I'm trying to, make it somehow logical to understand it. So let's say king e5, king e5. And the only move that draws is knight to d7, but why? Knight d7, let's say king f5. Now you don't go knight to f8 because there will be queen to b7. But now you can play knight d6. And then you control all these squares. Okay, knight d6. If I go king g6, then you can play knight f8 and knight e6. But if I go to g5 or to f4, okay, let's say g5. Knight g5, then you go back with the knight to e8. So you keep the knights this way. Then when the king is coming closer, you start giving the checks. Doesn't look so clear. Just repeat. Genius chess. But let's say okay, let's just make some random moves like queen to a6 because I can't go king g6. Queen to a6. Knight f8. This one we had. Let's say we play king f5. King f5, but knight d6. If I now go here, knight d7 is the only move, and if I go king d5, knight f6 is the only move, and if I go king c6, then we go there. And now when the king is here, we control too many squares with the knights again. Well, I knew it's a draw, but you see that sometimes you really have to make the only move, so it's not so obvious. It's not that very obvious, and you have to be very, very careful what you do. It's difficult, even to explain like what exactly you do. The most important thing is that the king doesn't break through. Because if you somehow lose this coordination and you don't control all these squares and the king penetrates, then white is winning. A bit complicated. With the bishops, it's much easier. Can I show bishop g7, knight e5 fortress? Yeah, it's a famous fortress. But I think many people know it. Or do you want me to show you another fortress? Viewers, what do you think? The perfect strategy here is so far a draw, and hope white doesn't know that. But even if white has no idea, then white will still try to push for a win, because white has no chances to lose this position. Even if white blunders the queen, it's still a draw. So yeah, there is a nice fortress. Okay, I will show you another fortress. How can I clear? Is there a way I can clear it? Okay, the easy way to clear it is maybe that I just have a new one. Please, please. How to make a new one? How to make a new one? Oh, how to make a new one? Maybe. Okay, I can make it this way. No, I don't need all these knights. So, for example, we have the king here, and the black, the black king here, the bishop here, the knight here, and the queen somewhere. Doesn't matter actually well. And it's actually a very good example, which you may remember, and which is very easy to understand. Am I playing the Puzzle Battle Championship? No, I'm not playing. We were talking about it. I was not invited, so I'm not playing. So this position, viewers, it's important one. If you manage to build this kind of fortress with the bishop on g7 and the supportive knight in the center of the board, it's very easy draw, because all you need to do is to stay with the king, and you don't need to do anything else. For example, even if white moves the king to g5 or h5, it's not a problem, because we keep on staying. So, for example, king to h3, we just play king h7. The king moves, we just go back. We can also make the moves with the bishop, but we can also stay with the king, so that you understand. King to h5 or king to g5 doesn't matter. The point is that these two squares are controlled, and you just stay. And for example, queen e8, which will the move which will not allow to go to g8 or h8, but now we can stay with the bishop. We can play bishop f6 or bishop h8, doesn't matter. So it's a very easy draw. Then you stay with the bishop, and white can do nothing. But it's a very important position. Somehow, if you are, for example, calculating and white is promoting, but you have the bishop and the knight, you should try to place them this way, and it's a very easy draw. Understandable? Yes. Yes, I think so. What else about the endgames? Do you have any other interesting positions about the endgames? Fully clear, Oliver. Nice. Bishop and bishop versus the queen. Yes, we had all of this in the test too, but this is much easier. Yeah, this is much easier. This is much easier. Something else? Do you have any other? King versus 3 pawns. What do you mean? Jordan, what do you mean? There is a funny endgame, 2 rooks versus 2 knights, and it's a checkmate in 200. Oh no, I don't remember it. how you stop 3 pawns? How you stop 3 pawns? You can't stop them because they are moving. Can I show the technique how to beat the 3-rank defense on queen versus rook? Queen versus rook is actually more or less easy. Sub tourney. Maybe we make a sub tourney another time. Maybe some other time. Queen versus pawns, we had some of them in the test. Queen versus rook. Okay, queen versus rook. There is one important position. Maria draw bishop versus queen once. Maria had this endgame, maybe, but it was a blitz game or maximum a rapid. So queen versus rook. Look, there is basically only one important position you should know, and which I will show you. So it's when we finally make it to the last to one of the last lines, and here it's like we don't know how to continue and how to win from this position. And in this position, the important thing to do is to make a kind of a 3-angle, or to make that it's not white to move, but it's black to move in this position. Because if it's black to move, black has no moves. So we need to triangulate, or we just need to force to change the move order, if I can say it this way. So we can do it with, for example, here it says queen d5 or queen d4. Queen d5 is good because after queen d5, if black checks with rook b6, then we play king c7, and black has no check on b7. If black goes king to b8, then we play queen to a5, and it's like it doesn't matter if the queen is on d8 or on a5. It's important that it will be black who will have to move, and black will have to move the rook somewhere there or somewhere here, and then we can win this rook with the checks. So the most stubborn is to play king to a8, but after king to a8 we have a check. And the easiest one is to give the check on a2. Where is this move? Queen g5, you will never remember it. But you may give the check on a2 or g8, doesn't matter. Let's say we give the check on g8 and now if rook to b8, we have queen a2 checkmate, and if the king moves to e7, now we go back to d8. And so with this 3-angle we forced that now it's black's move. And now black has to move the rook. Because after king a6 many things are winning. For example, queen to a8, rook a7. I'm not moving because then it's difficult to go back. But after king a6, you can check on a8, rook a7, queen to c8, king a5, and we can play king to c5, and then there will be a checkmate somehow. So if the rook moves to h7, g7, or f7, or b4, b3, b2, b1, it's like the available squares, rook b8 runs into forced checkmate with queen to a5. If rook g7 or rook b2, we have queen d4, and it immediately wins the rook. So this is like minus one move to calculate. If the rook goes to b4, then it's queen to e7, and it's again we are winning the rook. If the rook moves to b3, we have to think a little bit, but we can try to play queen to e7 and then win the rook with the check on f7. So this will be the way to win it. If the rook moves to b1, it's also like we are starting with the checks and then we are trying to win the rook with the check on h7 or a2. Depends how we will do it. And if the rook moves somewhere there, then we are starting with the checks and okay. Which rook move you prefer? Which rook move you prefer to show you? Because we can only choose one. So let's say rook h7 looks like the most stubborn according to the table base. But here we win with many possibilities. Let's say we play queen d4. If king a6, we play queen d3 and we win the rook. If king a8, we win the rook with queen a4. King b8, we play queen b3. And then if the king goes to c8, there is queen g8 checkmate. If the king goes to somewhere here, then we play queen a2 and queen b1 and we win the rook. And if the king goes to b8, we win more or less with the same idea. Queen there, king a8, queen here, and queen b1. So the most important thing is to make this 3 angel, and then we win when the rook moves somewhere. We win just by making all these checks. Any questions? Seems like no questions. Well, today we had an endgame day. I hope we improved our endgame skills. Even I improved because now I know the endgame queen versus 2 knights a little bit better. Can I go back to the original, but we have the white move instead? Yes, we had the white move. Okay, once again. So we have the black rook here and the queen here. So it's white to move, but we need to make the same position with black to move. How to change. So we play queen to d5 and we ask black to do something. If the black kings move to b8, then we play queen a5 and it's already kind of a Zugzwang. If black moves with the rook, then we will already start chasing it and we will win it after the checks. If black checks with rook b6, then we play king c7 and there is no rook b7 check and we will simply win it somehow. So that's why king a8 is the most stubborn. And then we don't play queen a5 because after queen b8 it will be white to move. But first we give the check on a2 or g8. So for example, we give the check on g8. If rook moves to b8, then queen a2 comes with a checkmate. So king a7, and now we play queen d8 back, and here we are. This is how we do it. So I will slowly finish because now I start having some throat problems again. Yeah, I'll have to finish the stream. Maybe I will make one more somewhere in the next days. I will inform you about it in the Discord channel. But for today, thank you so much for being here, for learning some end games, for spending this evening with me. And I wish you all the best. Have a nice evening and have a nice day.